Hi there, welcome to No Nonsense Whiskey. My name's Vin PF, and on today's episode we've got something really rather special. Now this came my way from Mark Littler. You can check out his channel, which will be in the description and around about. And if you don't know who he is, I've talked about him a fair bit on the channel now. He's a good friend of mine now who's basically running his own channel talking about whiskey investments. It's a totally different take to what I do. And I'm very much a whiskey drinker for the whiskey drinker almost. I like to cover things that are relatively affordable. And what he's doing is talking about whether something is kind of worth the value on the secondary market and whatnot. So, and I know people are interested in that. So if you are interested in that, not something I normally talk about. So I do implore you to go and check him out because he's got some really good quality content there and coming out in the future. But one of the things he's been doing, and this is the second time we've done this sort of collaboration now, he's been opening what otherwise could be expensive bottles of whiskey and sharing them out to the wider whiskey reviewing kind of community. The last one I did was the Macallan Edition 6, which is something that I never would have bought, but actually enjoyed, I have to say. And then we shipped it around and it went kind of around the reviews. Now we've got, coming over to this bad boy, we've got a 1980s Suntory 12-year pure malt. Now that's a Yamazaki distillery one, so we could call this a Yamazaki 12-year if we want. But I'll show you kind of bits on the label about how we know what this is and kind of like why we've opened it. It's, I mean, as you can see on here, in fact, let's get the bottle out now and have a closer look. As you can see, the bottle's kind of like had a bit of damage to it here, and this part of the label is kind of on its last legs. I'm trying my hardest to be gentle with it, and you can see here as well who it's been to. It's been to Malt Cask and Whisky Wednesday, who've both got their content out about that, so make sure you go and check that out as well. So let's give this the no nonsense once over and see what we've got, shall we? Now, a couple of things. This is for the Japanese market. We can tell that by a whole heap of kanji at the back here. We can tell this is from the 1980s because if you look really closely, let me get my finger on it first, just here, hopefully that's going to take, it says 75 or maybe 75 CL, or maybe it says 750 ml. Of course, the general standard for whiskey these days is 700, so we can take that. The cool thing about this, I should probably put up a picture of the actual bottle so you can see what the bottle looks like when it's not damaged. The reason why we know this is Yamazaki, because this kanji here does say Yamazaki, but the eagle-eyed will see right down here, oh yes, Yamazaki. This DFS is just a label that talks about the kind of duty-free. It's just a duty-free sticker. It's a bit odd that they've stuck it on there, actually, on the label itself, rather than on the bottle. Not a huge fan of that. But yeah, so it's an interesting thing. So it's just a whiskey from the 1980s, which is pretty awesome, and something that, you know, is going to get quite expensive. This runs about £400-500 now, which is actually fairly cheap considering what you think about it. I'm going to say right now, off the top of the video, that I don't recommend anyone sort of spend that sort of money from my perspective, but I'm not a whiskey investor. And if you are, and you're a kind of bottle chaser, this might be one of those ones you want to look into because it is actually fairly available still. You know, we see it popping up every now and again on some specialist websites and whatnot. In any case, let's get into the actual whiskey and see what we've got underneath coin 285, which is available over on nononsensewhiskey.com if you want to go check it out. Okay, I'm not sure about colour and things like that. I don't know what the kind of practices they did back then. I know they were trying to emulate Scottish whiskey fairly closely, you know, with their own little bit of terroir as well. But we're not going to talk too much about that. But, you know, it does look lovely. It does look lovely. I've tried to have as little as possible, Mark, so that there's some left for other people, because this is going down pretty quickly after only 3 people. So let's have a go on the nose and see what we've got. It's an interesting nose for sure. It's got a bit of mustiness to it at the start. There's a slight waft of smokiness to it. We're not talking about kind of peat or ashiness here. It's just like a really light burnt wood vibe. I don't know where that's specifically come from. It might be some charred barrels. It might not be. But there's also some kind of honey notes there and some nuttiness on the back end. Nice nose, it's quite light. Let's try on the palate. Okay, it's slightly thin on arrival than I would have expected, but not terrible at all by any stretch. It's a 43%er. There's lots of honey, some dried fruits going on there, and more nuttiness and spiciness on the back end. And then the finish is medium. It's kind of spicy and a little bit dry on the back end. So, the one thing I should say before we talk about the end is that I haven't actually covered a Japanese whiskey for well over 100 episodes, and that's just because they're becoming really quite exclusive, and I can't really stretch to get those whiskies without special effort, or to get my kind of bang for buck thing that I like to talk about. But so it's really cool to be able to try something like this without having to spend any money, basically. So thanks to Mark for that. But it's really expensive. It's really expensive, and it's one of those things that I guess was going to float around the secondary market for a while. Is it good enough to buy and pop open and drink? Probably not. It's good enough whiskey. I'm happy to have drunk it, but it isn't kind of mind blowing. It would have been exceptional value for whatever it was being sold for in the 80s. That's for sure. So yeah, if you're interested in the investment side of things, make sure you go and check Mark out. You can go and check this out if you really want to. It's I guess a fairly good value for the investment side of things. That's fair enough I can say about it, I think.